If you're ready now, the starting lineup today. First for the Houston Astros, leading off and playing center field will be Terry Puhl. Batting second at shortstop, Craig Reynolds. Hitting third, the first baseman, Cesar Cedeno. Batting fourth in left field, Jose Cruz. Hitting number 5 and playing third base, Enos Cabell. Batting sixth, the right fielder, Denny Walling. Art Howe will be at second base. He'll bat seventh. Hitting eighth and doing the catching, Alan Ashby. And batting ninth and pitching for Houston, right-hander Joaquin Andujar. Again for the Astros, it's Puhl in center field, Reynolds at shortstop, and Cedeno at first base. Cruz in left, Cabell at third, Walling in right. With Howe at second base, Ashby catching, and Andujar pitching. For the Cincinnati Reds, to lead it off, Ken Griffey in right field. Dave Concepcion plays shortstop, and he'll bat second. Joe Morgan will bat third and play second base. Hitting fourth, the catcher, Johnny Bench. Batting number 5 at first base, Dan Driessen. Ray Knight will hit sixth and play third base. Hector Cruz will be in left field, batting seventh. Hitting eighth in center field, Cesar Geronimo. And batting ninth and pitching for the Reds, right-hander Bill Bonham. Once more for Cincinnati, it's Griffey in right field, Concepcion at shortstop, and Morgan at second base. Bench catching, Driessen at first base, Knight at third. With Cruz in left, Geronimo in center, and Bonham on the mound. This copyrighted broadcast is authorized under broadcasting rights granted by Cincinnati Reds Incorporated solely for the entertainment of our listening audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Cincinnati Reds Incorporated is prohibited. The announcers on this broadcast are employed by the Cincinnati Reds Incorporated. Game number 2 of the 3-game set. Houston coming out on top 3-2. Their 25th one-run victory of the season last night. The Reds, as a result, have now dropped 3 in a row and now stand 9 games behind this Houston bunch. And, well, Joe, we've got Bill Bonham going today, a ball club, and ours, of course, that still is riddled with injury, and a club that's having trouble at the plate. And hopefully today will be the day. Andujar, in the last year or so, seems to have brought out the best in our ball club.
Marty, I think Bill Verdon had a pretty good point in the morning paper talking about Houston pitching and the quickness of last night's ball game. And probably when you look at pitching, it's very true. So many times we talk about run scoring after walks. And last night, of course, there were 2 walks total in the ball game. Freddie Norman walked 1 and Ken Force walked 1, and neither scored. But this is probably something that hasn't happened to the Reds here of late. We haven't received a lot of base on balls, really, although we look back to Sunday's second game, we had 5, but they were scattered out between the 4 pitchers that worked. And we're getting scoring opportunities, no question about it, but we just can't seem to generate that big hit. And certainly this is the history of the Cincinnati Ball Club is if we get opportunities or given opportunities, we usually would capitalize on them, but we just haven't been doing that. And you have to give the opposition some credit. Their pitching last night, Force pitched a whale of a baseball game. Let's give him some credit. And Freddie Norman pitched a super game for us. But this is the way baseball is. For instance, last night, the 2 runs the Astros scored off Freddie, and you know, we've experienced the same thing where a flare here and a flare there, along with a line drive, produces runs. We have had that experience over the years, and right now it's happening for the Houston Astros, and hopefully this afternoon it'll happen for the Reds, and we can get things underway here because, you know, can't get too far behind. There's an awful lot to ask to make up. Right now, our national anthem.
Well, we had a color guard here today representing the 5 branches of the U.S. Armed Forces. They are now getting ready to make their way off the field. The Reds are on. Bill Bonham heading to the middle of the arena. Billy will be making his 14th start of the season, a record of 3 wins and a loss and a .438 earned run average. Started against Houston back in the first game of a May 6th doubleheader here. Did not pitch well, giving up 5 hits and 4 runs in only 3 innings. One of those hits, a Bob Watson 3-run home run. Bonham showing erratic control that particular day, but if you remember, that was a game in which the Reds came back to win by a final score of 17-5. So the Reds are hoping today to knock off this Houston ball club and break an Astros 5-game winning streak. They would get the Reds back to where they were when the series began last night, of some 8 games behind Houston, and of course a final game coming up tomorrow night in another classic pitching encounter, Tom Seaver against James Rodney Richards. Thinking back a week ago Monday night to Houston when those two got together in the first game of the Dome doubleheader, and Seaver bested Richard by a final score of 2-1. Well, we're at the 4th of July, and boy, who would have thought back when the season began in early April that as of this date the Dodgers would be in the basement of the National League Western Division. They moved into that position last night by dropping a 3-2 decision to San Diego, while the Atlanta Braves were beating San Francisco 5-2. That, coupled with the fact that the Houston Ball Club leading the pack by 9 games, and boy, I don't think you'd have gotten anybody to believe one or both of those points back on the opening day in 1979, Joe.
Well, Marty, really, you look back on probably the last 5 years, and people keep saying in spring training the Houston Astros could be a factor. And each year they would mention that. I know I've mentioned it, and it's been printed many times in the spring. The Houston Astros can be a factor. And, well, this year they're more than a factor. They're a problem, to say the least.
Gold-plated problem. Terry Puhl will lead things off for Houston. He's batting .278, has homered 6 times, and has driven in 21 runs. Left-handed batter, he'll be followed by Craig Reynolds and then Cesar Cedeno. Bottom with a pitch, and Puhl swings, fly ball, center field. Geronimo waiting on it, and he'll make the catch for out number 1, and this game is underway. Puhl first pitch inning, fly up the middle. That'll bring up the shortstop Reynolds. Craig, a .287 batter with 23 RBIs. He had a single in 4 times up last night, and both he and Puhl were on base in the 4th inning when Cedeno dropped a double along the right field line to, at that time, give Houston a 2-1 lead. Reds, of course, tied it up, and then the Astros won it on 2 out base hits in the 9th inning by Cabell, a single, a stolen base, and the run-scoring double by Jose Cruz. Strike 1 call. Outfield playing Reynolds straight away. The pitch. That's a half-swing foul back to the screen, and Bonham quickly out in front of the shortstop, but no balls and 2 strikes. By way of records, the Astros show an overall record on the season of 51 wins and 31 losses. The Reds now at 41 and 39. High and outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Reynolds settling back in the batter's box as Bonham looks to bench. Now the wind and now the pitch, and that's up and outside. 2-2. Defensively for the Reds today, we've got Driessen at first, Morgan at second, Knight at third, Concepcion at shortstop. Hector Cruz again in left field, filling in for the injured George Foster with Cesar Geronimo and Ken Griffey in center and right. Change up, and Reynolds has struck out swinging. 2 away in the Houston first inning as Puhl is flied out, and now Reynolds has struck out, and that brings up Cedeno, the first baseman. Picked up runs batted in number 34 and 35 last night. He's homered 5 times, and those numbers go with a .264 batting average. Bonham trying to get the Astros out in order here in his first shot at him. Cedeno out away from the plate, mopping his brow. And now the right-handed batter settles in there. Here's a pitch. That's taken on the inside corner for a strike. I think a true testimony to this Houston pitching staff is the fact that in terms of run production, Only 2 clubs in baseball have scored fewer runs than had the Astros this season, and those 2 clubs, both from the American League, the Oakland A's and the Toronto Blue Jays. No balls and 1 strike. Swung on, bouncer, glove by Bonham. Nice play. That ball's in the center field for a base hit in all likelihood. But he comes up with it on the hop. He throws out Cedeno, and that's the inning. Astros are up and down in order, and after a half inning of play here at Riverfront, it's Houston nothing and Cincinnati coming up. Detroit, Michigan. Well, as we mentioned earlier, the Reds and the Astros will close out this 3-game series tomorrow night, 8:05 the starting time. And again, Tom Seaver will hook up with J.R. Richard. And over the weekend, Chuck Tanner brings his Pirates into town. We kick that off on Friday night at 8:05, a 5:30 game on Saturday. And the Sunday afternoon doubleheader beginning at 1:15. That, by the way, the last doubleheader of the season here at Riverfront. Next week, it'll be 3 weeknight affairs with the Cardinals, and then a 4-game weekend series with the Chicago Cubs. So we hope you're making your plans now to be on hand for all the fun. Joaquin Andujar has done a little bit of everything for Houston this season. You look at his numbers, he's made 26 total appearances, only 9 of which have been as a starting pitcher. And of those 9 starts, he's had 6 complete games, a 9-4 record, and an earned run average of .263. He has given up only 66 base hits in 95 2/3 innings. He was a starting pitcher against the Reds earlier this season, and Cincinnati roughed him up quite a bit, losing to Tommy Hume 6-2 back on the 5th of May. He gave up 6 hits and 6 earned runs in only 2 innings, walked 4, and did not strike out a batter. Lifetime against the Reds, Andujar has had 10 decisions, and he's put them right down the middle, 5 wins and 5 losses. Well, Ken Griffey will lead it off. John McNamara, as we mentioned over the weekend in San Francisco, going back to his original top 3rd alignment. And that's how they go today, with Ken Griffey leading it off, Dave Concepcion batting 2nd, and then Joe Morgan 3rd. Griffey only 3 points shy of the coveted 300 mark. Has homered 6 times, has driven in 25 runs. Andujar looking into Ashby. The right-hander sends in the pitch, and Griffey takes a strike, an off-speed pitch on the inside corner. This is one of 3 games that'll be played this afternoon in the National League. Here's the 0-1. Swung on and popped foul off 3rd, and that will fall down beyond the Houston dugout. Montreal will be at Chicago, and Pittsburgh will be playing at St. Louis. And in the American League, only 1-day game. That'll have the Chicago White Sox at Cleveland. Reds batting in the bottom of the 1st, no score. Houston went out in order. The 0-2 pitch coming to Ken Griffey, a fastball high. Plate umpire today, Paul Pryor. At first, that's Davidson, Fred Brocklander at 2nd. And crew chief Ed Vargo, the umpire at 3rd. Andujar to the rosin bag, now back on top. He's ahead and pitching to Griffey. And Kenny takes a fastball inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. You mentioned that 5-5 record that Andujar has had against Cincinnati. The Reds, however, have beaten him 4 times in a row since last dropping a decision to him back on the 6th of September in 1977. 2-2 pitch. swung on and fouled off. The Pittsburgh team we've got coming in here on Friday night, they are right now second in the National League East behind Montreal, 5.5 games back. Chicago playing excellent baseball under Herman Franks. They're only 6 games back. And, of course, have the opportunity again today to pick up another full game as they're playing Montreal. Curveball misses, ball 3, and Andujar's worked a full count to Griffey. For the Astros defensively, Cedeno at first, Howe at second, Reynolds at short, Cabell at third. The outfield from left to right, Cruz, Puhl, and Walling. Ashby doing the catching. 3-2 as Griffey waits on the payoff, and here it is. Swung on and hammered to right field. That's going to be a home run. Ken Griffey rides a 3-2 line drive out of here to right field. His 7th long ball of the season, and Cincinnati on the leadoff home run takes a 1-0 lead. Looked like Andujar tried to throw a fastball by him, and Kenny took care of it. His 7th home run of the season, and his first off Houston pitching. Well, the Reds run on the board, and here's Dave Concepcion, the pitch below the knees for a ball. Davey batting .292. He's had 8 home runs and has knocked in 41 runs. Last night went 1 for 3, had a double and scored a run. That's over for a call strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. That's the first home run for Ken Griffey since the 2nd of June when he homered off Philadelphia right-hander Doug Bird. Strike 2 call. Fastball just above the knees. So Andujar, who went full on Griffey before Kenny played long ball, is out in front of Dave Concepcion. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Sights assigned, a kick and the pitch. Davey strikes out swinging on an off-speed pitch away, and Andujar gets his first strikeout. That'll bring up Joe Morgan with 1 out and a run in. Morgan hitting .275 with 4 home runs and 13 RBIs. Joe right now riding the crest of a 10-game hitting streak, which he has been hitting at a .361 clip, going 13 for 36. And an infield single last night to keep the batting streak alive. And now with 1 out and a run in, the pitch is swung on and popped up. Out toward second base, Art Howe going toward the bag and makes the catch for out number 2. Two down, the batter will be Johnny Bench. John, of course, continuing to bat in the cleanup slot. Actually, the 2nd straight game he's been there with George Foster being out. And I've been talking with John McNamara earlier today down in the clubhouse. The prognosis for a quick return for Foster, not real good. A groin pull that he popped Sunday in the 2nd game of the doubleheader against the Giants. Check swing by Bench, or did he? No, sir, says Satch Davidson at first. Strike 1. Mac was telling us that it was quite deep, the groin pull, which is not a good sign at all. And really, Foster's availability to play is nil, and in all likelihood, the same could be said about his availability to come off the bench and pinch hit. That one, an off-speed pitch off the glove of Ashby. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, the Reds having to make do until they can get their big man back in there. Leading 1-0 here in the first on a leadoff home run by Ken Griffey. 2 away in the inning with nobody on, and Andujar 1 wanting to bench. John tops one out in front of the plate, picked up by the catcher Ashby, and he throws him out. So for the Reds in the first inning, 1 run on 1 hit. And at the end of 1 complete, the Reds won and the Astros nothing.
What makes us what you've been looking for?
you plan your 4th of July holiday, don't forget to include carry-out from Frisch's. You can have an instant picnic just by phoning in your order to your nearby Frisch's restaurant. Whether it's after the parade, during the day, or before the fireworks, any time is a good time to give the good people at Frisch's a call for a carry-out. Frisch's, who has so much more.
Come see the good people at Frisch's. Cause Frisch's has so much more. Frisch's has so much more.
Now the Reds lead by a run as we move to the top of the second inning. Houston will be sending up Cruz, Cabell, and Walling against Bill Bonham. Retired Puhl on a fly ball to center struck out Reynolds and got Cedeno on a hard one-hopper back to the mound in the first inning. Now we'd like to send along happy 10th wedding anniversary greetings today to a fellow who works in the Reds front office, Chris and Nancy Kraby. Chris, the assistant controller of the Reds, and he and Nancy celebrating their 10th wedding anniversary today. Here's a guy who wore the laurel of hero for Houston last night. Cruz with a game-winning base hit, swings, line drive, softly hit, but falling into center field. And Cruz opens up the Houston second with a single to center. Here's third baseman Cabell. It was the Houston running game that's been such a vital part of this club's success this season. Certainly came into play in the ninth inning last night because it was Cabell who had the two-out single to left and, of course, moved into scoring position by stealing second. That was the 95th stolen base for the Astros this season. Cruz likes to run. He has swiped 21 in 26 attempts, leading at first base. Bonham with a long pause, and now the pitch to Cabell and taken at the knees for a strike. No balls and one strike on Enos Cabell with Denny Walling on deck. Ken Griffey's home run leading off the bottom of the first inning has taken the Reds and Bonham to an early 1-0 lead. Cruz has led off this inning with a base hit to center, and the infield looks for the ground ball. Blowing outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Bonham coming off of a very strong pitching performance his last time out. That was on Friday night in San Francisco when he pitched 6 innings, allowed only 6 hits and a run. He throws to first, and Cruz is back. Struck out 5 and walked only 1 and left that game with a 4-1 advantage. Of course, the Giants came back to win it late. Swing and a miss. Bonham's wins have come at the expense of San Diego twice. Beat them 4-2 on the 13th of April and 7-0. Pitching 7 innings of 4-hit shutout baseball on the 16th of May. And his other win over Montreal, 3-2 on the 18th of last month up at Olympic Stadium. Inside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cabell out away from the plate. Now comes back in. He's looking at a straightaway Cincinnati outfield. Bonham ready with a 2-2 pitch. It's on the way, and there's a bouncer over the mound. Charging Concepcion. Throws back to Morgan to get the force out on Cruz. As Cabell hits into the force out at second base, and Dave Concepcion now down on one knee behind the mound, and Larry Starr out to take a look at him along with John McNamara, and Davey apparently is, from the looks of things, he might have pulled a hamstring muscle.
Marty, that was a very awkward throw that Dave made back, and we'll just have to wait and see. Right now, Dave in a deep knee bend, now coming back up, but very awkward play for Davey. You have to really throw back behind him, and we'll just have to wait and see if he's able to remain in the ball game.
Well, Davey's stretching out a little bit back behind the mound after making the off-balance throw to Joe Morgan to get the force on Cruz. Now Davey walking around a bit to see whether or not he's going to be well enough to remain in the ball game. Bill Bonham, all the while, staying loose by throwing down to Johnny Bench, and Denny Walling waiting to hit for Houston with 1 out and 1 aboard. Well, you really wonder when all of this is going to stop. Talking with Mac about it yesterday, it started from the very beginning of the season when Ray Knight, of course, had to miss the first couple of games with an ankle injury sustained in spring training, and it has simply carried on ever since then. First one player, then another. When things look to be on the men for the ball club as a whole, all of a sudden somebody else comes up lame, and right now we're concerned about the well-being of Dave Concepcion. Apparently Davey wants to remain in, but I'm sure John McNamara wants to honestly know from Davey if everything is well enough for him to stay in the ball game.
Marty, you just don't like to see anyone taking chances of seriously injuring themselves. And as you've mentioned, Davey wants to stay in the ball game and will stay in the game. And apparently Dave feels he'll be all right. But, boy, you just really hate to see anyone take a chance of, causing it to be a very serious injury rather than a minor injury.
You talk about your gamers, and in baseball terminology, that's a guy who comes to play and wants to be in that lineup. Davey would certainly fall into that category in every sense of the word, this being game number 82 for the Reds today, and Davey appearing in his 80th game, so he's been out of the lineup only in 2 games all season. Bonham will throw to first. Denny Walling has been one of the big stories for Houston this season. Whether it be coming off the bench as a pinch hitter or in the starting lineup, he has done everything right. Low and inside, ball 1. He was a guy who ignited that big Houston comeback a week ago Tuesday night, a week ago last night, down in the Astrodome, hitting that 3-run home run in the bottom of the 8th inning. The Astros going on to win it. Throw to first. 352 batting average, 3 home runs, and 17 RBIs. Walling, a left-handed batter. A lifetime major league hitter, an average of 251. That's what he hit for Houston last year in 120 games. Want to know the count on him. Stretching the pitch by Bonham, taking a dust outside, 2 balls and no strikes. Walling actually was in the Oakland organization. That's where he came from when he joined Houston in return for outfielder Willie Crawford on the 15th of June 2 years ago. Swung on and hit back into left field. Cruz going back toward the wall, and he'll make the catch. Rounding second base, and now coming back to first in a double play. Enos Cabell was on the third base side of second when Hector Cruz made the catch up against the fence. And it went from Cruz to Concepcion to Driessen. Denny Cabell gets the double play and end the inning. So for Houston, no runs a hit and nobody left on. After an inning and a half, the Reds lead the Astros 1-0.
Right now, at this very moment, even as I speak, and for a limited time only, you can get a quart of Marathon Fuel Ultra D 5W40 motor oil entirely free when you buy an Ultra D oil change and a new Marathon aggressor oil filter from a participating Marathon dealer. And see what a difference Ultra D can make in your car. Improved gas mileage, better engine protection, easier starts all year long, and you get 1 quart free with the purchase of a complete Ultra D oil change and aggressor oil filter.
Make a change for the better.
With new Ultra D.
Change for the better.
And get yourself 1 quart free.
Make a change for the better. With new Ultra D motor oil.
From Marathon Oil Company. You know, if I were you, I'd get that 3 quart of oil right now.
Make a change for the better.
With new Ultra D.
Change for the better.
And get yourself 1 quart free.
Well, the lineup will sound familiar to Reds fans when you consider the names of Griffey and Concepcion, Seaver, and, well, all the rest. But it'll be a different Reds team on the field. You can bet on that next Thursday, July the 12th. We, of course, are talking about the game upcoming between the Reds players and their sons and daughters. All the Reds youngsters will be introduced on the field, and then the boys and girls will play their dads in a game that's sure to provide a lot of laughs for everybody. And we cannot underline the word laughs enough, because it turns out to be an hilarious ball game. So be on hand as the Reds meet the Chicago Cubs on Thursday, July 12th at 8:05, with a game between Reds players and their youngsters getting underway about 7:25. Reds come calling in the bottom of the second. Danny Driessen for openers against Andujar, who was touched up for a leadoff home run in the first inning by Ken Griffey. Danny, a .258 batter with 12 homers and 42 RBIs, was 1 for 4 last night off of right-hander Kenny Forsch. Here's the pitch, and Driessen swings and fouls it to the screen. Strike one. Driessen, Ray Knight, and Hector Cruz here in the second. Danny swings and hits a fly ball into left center field. Terry Puhl waving Cruz away from the ball, and he makes the catch. And we pause for station identification on the Cincinnati Reds Baseball Network.
Hi, this is Jim McKnight. Join me from midnight till 6 on WLW Cincinnati.
It's the Cincinnati Reds and the Pittsburgh Pirates at Riverfront Stadium for a big weekend of baseball. Friday night at 8:05, Saturday at 5:30, and a 1:15 doubleheader on Sunday. Be on hand.
Ray Knight with one out. Ray coming back into the starting lineup last night after injuring that thumb down in Houston diving for a ball. Inside, ball one. Knight hitting .309. It's on 9 for 40 against Houston pitching, and he'll be followed by Hector Cruz. Andujar ready. The pitch. Call strike. 1-1. Well, this is the second game of what will be a 14-game homestand for the club. Swung on and pop foul off to the right. That'll be out of play as Ashby gives chase. Tomorrow night, Houston with Seaver opposing Richard. Friday night, Saturday, and the 2 Sunday, a 4-game set against the Pirates. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, the Cardinals will be in. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, a 4-game series against the Cubs. That'll take us up to the 3-day All-Star break. Andujar with a motion to pitch. Ray Knight a bouncer over the mound. Craig Reynolds gets there behind second and throws him out. You know, when you purchase your Reds tickets at the stadium, at the Reds 580 gift shop, or by mail, you can charge your tickets to your bank credit card. Make plans now and order your Reds tickets in advance. Hector Cruz. He had a run-producing single last night and also turned in a fine defensive play in the top of this inning, grabbing Walling's drive at the fence in left field and then making a good throw to Concepcion, who in turn dealt to Driessen to double up Enos Cabell. Cruz, a 125 batting average. That's his cumulative total with the Giants and his brief plate appearances with the Reds. High and tight, ball one. Two out, bases empty here in the second. At the knees, a call strike, and now Rick Arbach going down into the Reds bullpen to begin loosening up, and that might mean the end of the afternoon for Dave Concepcion. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cruz swings and hits a hard ground to the shortstop. Reynolds on to first baseman Cedeno, and the Reds are quickly out 1-2-3. At the end of 2, Cincinnati leading Houston 1-0.
What's that? The doorbell. 6 o'clock Sunday morning?
Paper boy!
Paper boy? Couldn't he? I didn't hear the window break. Oh, it is you, Billy. What's the matter? Sore arm?
I'm not throwing the paper today, Mr. Smith. Too valuable. The Pepsi Generation card's in it.
What card?
The Pepsi Generation card. It's the most valuable card in America. And it's free in this Sunday's paper.
What? It won't cost me anything?
No, it'll save you.
Yeah?
Yeah, with discounts at places like local restaurants, sports events, all kinds of values right here in town.
Hey, the Pepsi Generation card could save me a bundle.
You can win a bundle, too. Up to $10,000 in the great grocery giveaway. And there's lots more events coming.
That's great, Billy. Now toss me the paper. Real easy.
Sure, Mr. Smith.
That's the Billy I know.
Look for your Pepsi Generation card, entry blank and rules in this Sunday's paper. It might be the most valuable card in America.
Bottom third of the batting order for the Astros here in the top of the third inning. We've got that change at shortstop. Rick Auerbach has replaced Dave Concepcion. Art Howe will lead it off, and here with a play-by-play, Joe Nuxall.
Thank you, Marty. It'll be Howe, Ashby, and Andujar as the Astros bat in the third. Howe, a .228 batting average with 4 home runs and 19 RBIs. Howe with 10 doubles and 2 triples. Howe, a right-handed batter. Houston with 1 base hit off Bill Bonham in the first 2 innings. That Jose Cruz is single leading off the second to center field. So Dave Concepcion is forced out of the lineup. Rick Auerbach now at shortstop. Reds leading 1-0. Bonham winds and delivers to Howe, and he's inside with an off-speed pitch, ball 1. Well, Enos Cabell on the start of the game last night pointing out that the Astros had not had any serious injuries to their starting lineup. Fastball at the knee is a called strike, and the injuries the Astros have had are to Vern Rule and, of course, Ken Force, who pitched last night. Bonham misses low and outside. It's 2-1. Sometimes you look back on the Force and Rule injuries to the Astros, and then you think of Rick Williams, Howe swings and fouls, 2-2. You think of Williams and Randy Neiman and the jobs they have done in the starting roles for the Astros. Neiman a 164 earned run average, and Williams a 275 earned run average. Howe swings and lines one foul into the seats just beyond the Houston dugout, and apparently everybody all right down there, but that was an absolute shot. They're looking for the baseball. Everybody's all right. Again, the 2-2. Howe takes it inside as he has to turn away from the plate. Full count. Alan Ashby, the on-deck batter. Bonham winds and delivers. Swung on. That's fouled back at us, but not quite enough. Down hole, 3 balls, 2 strikes to Art Howe. Reds scoring a run in the first. That run coming on Ken Griffey's 7th home run of the year. Bonham, second with bench, has his sign. Again, the 3-2 pitch. That swung on. A broken bat popper that Auerbach at short will take, and the barrel of bat goes all the way out beyond the back line in the hole at short and third. So Art Howe really getting jammed on the pitch, and pops to Auerbach. 1 away, and catcher Alan Ashby to the plate. Ashby hitting .231 with 2 home runs and 26 RBIs. He's had 9 doubles and a triple. Left-handed batter, Ashby, the pitch. He takes an off-speed pitch, a called strike. This is the 12th meeting of the year between Houston and Cincinnati. Ashby looks outside, 1-1. The Astros have won 7, the Reds 4. Bonham winds and delivers. Ashby takes a fastball, a strike call at the knees, 1-2. Outfield straight away for Ashby. Bonham back to the plate. That's swung on and grounded to Morgan at second. Joe on to Driessen. 2 away. 2 out. That brings Joaquin Andujar to the plate. Andujar hitting .037. He's had 1 hit in 27 times to the plate and has driven in 2 runs. Well, Joaquin normally will not get cheated. Might not hit the ball, but he'll stir up the air around home plate. Let's check him out. Bonham delivers, and he swings and grounds to Morgan. Morgan to Driessen, and the Astros out quickly here in the third. Nothing across, and at the middle of the third, Reds 1, Astros nothing.
Hey, ever get one of those days when things just go crazy? Like you've got to be in 2 places at once? Or your kids remind you to do things you just forgot about? Or that you have too many things piled up that have to be done in one day? Enough to make you lose your mind. But you know, crazy as they may be, days like those are perfect for a stroll-light. Now, let's face it. After a hectic day, you want to unwind, relax, Really take it easy. And it's times like those, alone or with friends, that make Stroh Light so right. Because it's got body. Body that really makes a beer a beer. You see, body is what makes the taste of Stroh Light really satisfying, beer after beer. It gives its flavor that certain something you get in regular beer. So when you drink Stroh Light, you know from the taste that you're drinking beer. And that's why it's not so unusual to hear a tried and true beer lover drink Stroh Light and say, now that's beer. The Stroh Brewery Company, Detroit, Michigan.
For the Reds in the bottom half of the third, Cesar Geronimo, Bill Bonham, and Ken Griffey. Geronimo hitting .245 with a home run, 20 RBIs, 15 doubles, 3 triples. There's no other activity as yet in the National League. Montreal will be at Chicago this afternoon. It'll be Pittsburgh at St. Louis, New York at Philadelphia, San Francisco at Atlanta, and Los Angeles at San Diego. The schedule in the American League shows Chicago at Cleveland, Kansas City at Boston, Milwaukee at New York, Toronto at Detroit, Seattle at Minnesota, Baltimore at Texas, and Oakland at California. Well, the Reds leading 1-0. They've had one hit off Andujar, and that was Ken Griffey's home run in the first inning, coming on a 3-2 pitch. Since then, Andujar has retired 6 straight batters. Joaquin getting jammed on that pitch that he grounded to Morgan and was walking from first base over to the mound, really flexing his right hand, and Gruel is. Now, Cesar Geronimo to lead it off here in the third. Andujar making his 10th start of the year. He's appeared in 26 games, now 27. Won 9 and lost 4, and he has pitched some kind of baseball. Andujar delivers. Geronimo swings and misses a slow curveball. Well, that's about 3 hitters now that Andujar started off with that slow curve. Bill Bonham on deck. Ashby hangs the sign. Andujar the 0-1. Fastball misses inside. A ball, a strike to the Chiefs. Well, the sun breaking through here at Riverfront. Outfield around to the left for Geronimo. The pitch. He swings and fouls out of play to the seats, left side. 1-2. Andujar rubbing up the new baseball, standing behind the pitcher's mound, and now goes to the rosin bag and back onto the pitching rubber. Ashby slices his sign, and the 1-2 delivery. Swung on, that's grounded foul off the third baseline. Down hold to the ball, 2 strikes. Wind up the 3-game series tomorrow night. Boy, that should be a real pitching duel. If it goes back to the matchup down in the Astrodome when Seaver and J.R. Richard met. 1-2 pitch. Swung on, ground ball. Reynolds at short has it. His throw to Cedeno, 1 out. 1 away, and Bill Bonham the batter. Bill, a 143 batting average, 148 batting average. He's had 4 hits and 27 times up. Now, plate umpire Paul Fryer checks out the baseball, and he'll give it back to Andujar. That game that Seaver and Richard matched up then down in the Astrodome a week ago Monday, the first game of the doubleheader. George Foster hit a 2-run homer in the first inning, and that was it. Bonham swings and fouls up to the right over the Reds dugout. The Astros came back with a run in the bottom half of the first, and thereon it was A pitcher's battle. 0-1 to count to Bill Bonham with one out here in the third. Andujar winds and delivers. That's swung on and chopped foul off to the right over to the Cincinnati dugout. So Andujar in front, 0-2 to Bill Bonham. Ken Griffey waiting on deck. Andujar delivers a breaking ball, and that one's grounded foul to the Houston dugout. Since the stadium opened here in July of in 1970, the fan attendance in the month of July has totaled 4,500,000. Andujar misses low and outside, 1-2. That averages out at 33,653 for 133 playing dates in the month of July since the stadium opened. 1-2 delivery. Bonham swings and pops it into shallow left. Reynolds going out, Cruz coming on, and Jose calls and makes the play for the second out. 2 down, Ken Griffey, the batter. And he's responsible for the one Cincinnati run and the one game of the game, run in the game when he hit his 7th home run of the year into the blue seats in right field. Rick Arbach on deck. Rick hitting in Dave Concepcion's spot. Andujar waiting on the sign from Ashby. Winds and delivers fastball up high, a ball. Kenny has hit safely in 10 of his last 11 games. Joe Morgan has a 10-game hitting streak coming into this afternoon's game. Griff looks at an off-speed pitch called strike. 1-1. I think Kenny thought that pitch might have been a bit high. A ball, a strike to Griffey. Andujar shakes off a sign, and the 1-1. Up high again, a fastball. 2-1 to count. 2 out, the base is empty. Reds leading 1-0 here in the third. Andujar, as his sign, delivers the 2-1. Then he takes a strike at the knees. Down evens 2-2. Just an even 300 batting average now. 2-2 pitch. That's swung on and hit into right center field, but Dennis Walling is able to run it down, and the Reds are out in order, and for Andujar, he has now retired 9 straight batters since the home run by Griffey. So after 3 here at Riverfront, it's the Reds 1, the Astros 0.
When there were no rules against freak pitches like the spitball, the pitchers doctored the ball at will. In fact, one Reds pitcher named Hod Eller developed a baffling pitch he called the shine ball. Using paraffin and talcum, Hod smoothed and whitened one side of the ball. So when he threw it, it came into the plate looking much like a spinning top. And in 1919, Hod and his shine ball led the Reds to a pennant with 19 wins and a no-hitter. I'm T.V. Reese, bringing you the history of America's first Major League Ball Club, sponsored by the First National Bank of Cincinnati. When it comes time for you to start a savings plan, think the First National, the bank that brings you the Reds on radio.
Member FDIC.
For Houston in the fourth, the top of the order, Puhl, Reynolds, and Cedeno will come to the plate. Puhl leading off the game, hit a fly ball to Geronimo in center field. Bill Bonham has allowed just one hit. That was Jose Cruz single leading off the second, but Cruz was forced at second on a ground ball to Concepcion, and that was the reason for Davey leaving the game. We had not had a report on the type of injury to Dave. It was something to do with his left thigh or hamstring, but we'll just have to wait and see what Davey's injury is. All right, Bonham ready to work to Terry Puhl, and Puhl bluffs the bunt and takes low ball. was reported that Dave Concepcion has a groin pull, his left groin. Puhl swings and a hard liner, and Morgan picks off at second base about shoe top high, and Joe looking around to see if someone called it. Well, Puhl leads it off by lining to Morgan, one away, and the batter is Craig Reynolds. Reynolds struck out in the first inning. Craig hitting .287 with 23 RBIs. Outfield about straight away. They give Reynolds a little room in right center field. Bonham delivers to him a fastball, a called strike. Cedeno waiting on deck. Bench hangs the sign. The 0-1. Way outside. A ball, a strike to Reynolds. Left-handed batter, Craig Reynolds. On him back with a 1-1. Reynolds swings, pops it foul, and that'll drop behind the screen. On him in front, a ball, 2 strikes to the Houston shortstop. Still into the line. He delivers the 1-2. Change-up is high. Count evens, 2-2. On him, waiting on Reynolds. And Craig steps back in. And the 2-2 delivery. That swung on and missed, and that's the second time that Bonham has gotten Reynolds swinging. His second strikeout. 2 away, and Cedeno the batter. Cedeno bounced back to Bonham in the first inning to end the inning. Still making a nice play, reaching back to his right on the hard one bouncer. Cedeno a .264 batting average with 5 home runs and 35 RBIs. Bonham delivers. Cedeno swings, fly ball right field. Moving toward the line is Griffey. Still going, and Kenny finally gets there and makes a backhanded stab. And that ball really curving away from Griff, and he had to go all out and finally catching it backhanded. So the Astros out in a hurry here in the fourth. Nothing across, and the middle of the fourth, Reds 1, Astros nothing.
Do you know everything? Everything is a family place to eat. A morning meal, a late night treat. Say how about next time out? Stopping by. Stop in and say hi. Have a piece of pie. Dining in, it's delicious. Carry out your favorite dishes. Gracious, make more of your favorites. Taste so good. A tasty meal, strong and get it. The way you feel, you won't forget it. Come see the good people at Frisch's. Those Frisch's has so much more. Frisch's has so much more.
For the Reds in the fourth, it'll be Rick Auerbach to lead it off, followed by Joe Morgan and Johnny Bench. Auerbach hitting .193 with 6 RBIs and 6 doubles. Talking about Joaquin Andujar, and the statistics have come out for the player of the month and the pitcher of the month. And Andujar, during the month of June, appeared in 6 games, won 5, lost 1, had a 159 earned run average. In 51 innings, Andujar allowed just 33 hits, struck out 21, and walked 19. Allowed 9 earned runs, started 6 games, and completed 5 of them. So, very strong month by Mr. Andujar. All right, Rick Auerbach steps in to lead it off. Dave Concepcion had to leave the game because of a pulled groin in his left groin, so hopefully that's not too serious. Andujar ready to work on Arbach, delivers the first pitch, and a slider misses outside, a ball. Reds leading at 1-0. Andujar delivers the 1-0. Arbach swings, chops it foul over the Houston dugout. Deacon Jones, the Houston coach, grabs it. Count evens, 1-1. Andujar, the 1-1. Swung on and missed. High slider. And a count of ball, 2 strikes to Arbach. Ashby hangs the sign and the 1-2. Rick checks, but that's a good pitch. I think with Paul Pryor says it to Rick Arbach. Rick shaking his head, but Andujar has his second strikeout. One away, and Joe Morgan, the batter. Joe in the first inning popped out to Art Howe at second base. Waiting on Morgan to step in. Joe is there, and Ashby flashes the sign. Andujar delivers. Morgan takes an off-speed pitch, a called strike. One to Morgan. Why the pitch? Joe looks at it inside as he leans away, and a called strike. 0-2. We look at some of the other statistics for player of the month. Bob Horner of the Atlanta Braves hit .348, drove in 24 runs, hit 7, and George Foster hit .345, 13 home runs and 32 RBIs. Morgan swings on an off-speed pitch and fouls it straight back. George Hendrick of the St. Louis Cardinals hit .380 for the month of June. Ted Simmons of the Cardinals, .380 for the month of June. Gary Templeton, .377 for the month of June for the Cardinals. The 0-2 swung on and pulled foul. Off to the right, back into the seat. Yes, when you look at Keith Hernandez hit .369. Simmons drove in 24 runs and hit 8 home runs. Dave Kingman hit 12 home runs in the month of June, drove in 25. 0-2 to count to Morgan with 1 out here in the 4th. Andujar delivers. Morgan takes high and over his head and onto the backstop, and Joe staring out at Joaquin Andujar, and he's not too happy with that. Now Andujar down behind the mound, rubbing up the baseball, and I don't think Andujar's that wild anymore. All right, the 1-2. That's an off-speed pitch that's high. Count evens, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Two and 2 the count to Morgan. They wind the pitch. That swung on. Hard ground ball. Bobbled by Cedeno. He'll race to the bag. Takes it himself. Joe hitting that ball hard to Cedeno. Cedeno knocking it down, picking it up, and racing Morgan to the bag for the 2nd out of the inning. And the batter is Johnny Bench. Bench in the first inning, a little chopper in front of the plate that Alan Ashby threw him out on. Andujar delivers, and Bench swings in a ground ball foul outside third, backhanded by Enos Cabell. 0-1. 1-1 to count to Johnny Bench with 2 outs. A pitch. Side on fastball. Bounce right back to Andujar. He throws on to Cedeno, and that's the inning. Well, the Reds out in order, and that's 12 straight that Andujar has retired. So after 4 here at Riverfront, the Reds 1, the Astros nothing.
The time is right. That feeling's coming through. Real beer lovers know that only one beer will do. And it's so for the real beer lovers soul. Tastes like no other soul. For the real beer lovers. Real beer lovers say they go out of their way for a stroll. Yeah, it's so for the real beer lovers soul. Tastes like no other soul. For the real beer lover, from one beer lover to another stroll.
The Stroh Brewery, Detroit, Michigan.
Before the Astros bat in the 5th, we'll pause for station identification. This is the Cincinnati Reds Baseball Network.
This is James Francis Patrick O'Neill, heard 6 to 10 a.m. daily on WLW Cincinnati.
Cincinnati Reds players face their toughest opponent of the year before the Reds-Cubs game on Thursday, July the 12th. It'll be the game between Reds players and their youngsters. Be on hand for all the laughs.
Well, the totals for 4 innings show the Astros no runs to hit. The Reds 1 run and 1 hit. It'll be Jose Cruz to lead it off for Houston in the 5th. And back for the action, Marty Brenneman.
Thank you, Joe. Cruz, the possessor of the only Houston base hit. That was a leadoff single in the 2nd inning. Bonham since then has retired 8 batters in a row. He delivers to the left fielder, and it's a fastball at the letters for a strike. Last night, a 1-run ball game. Today through 4, the same type. 1-0 Cincinnati. Slicing shot down the left field line and hooking foul. Oh, the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes as Cruz takes the shot the other way, only to have it go in the seats, a foul ball. Well, the White Sox and the Cleveland Indians about to get underway. Baumgarten to go for the White Sox. Rick Waite, after his 10th win of the season, on the mound for the Cleveland Indians. Former Astro Cliff Johnson had a big night for Cleveland last night. Inside fastball. Had 4 base hits, including a first-inning grand slam home run to lead the Indians to a win. Johnny Bench making an adjustment on his shin guards before settling back in behind the plate. Here's Bonham with a pitch, and Cruz swings and hammers one into left center field. Geronimo moves into the alley and gathers it in. 1 out. You can order your Reds tickets at Southside Pharmacy. That's in Huntington, West Virginia. At Sears in Frankfort, Kentucky. At Phillips Drugs in Richmond, Indiana. And at Sears in Lima, Ohio. 1 away in the Astro half of the 5th inning. Enos Cabell grounded a shortstop following the 2nd inning hit by Cruz, and the Reds infield turned it into a force play. He swings and misses on a pitch in, strike 1. Well, as of this 4th of July, the division leaders, Houston by 8-9 games over the Reds, Montreal by 5.5 over Pittsburgh in the National League. Strike 2 call. Over in the American League, Texas and California in a virtual tie for first place. Minnesota really coming strong now. They're 2.5 back. Ground ball to third. Ray Knight up, and the throw to first in plenty of time. 2 out. And in the American League East, Baltimore, the winningest club in the major leagues right now. They're 54-26 and on a 4.5 game lead over Boston. Yankees down in 4th place on 12 games back. And did you hear about Billy Martin last night? Well, he had a rough evening. They refused to allow him into the Yankee Stadium parking lot because he didn't have the proper decal on his car. After he got into the clubhouse, he got a candy bar, bit into it, and broke his bridge work. Yankees lost to Milwaukee 7-2. Rough night for Billy Martin. Denny Walling up now with 2 men out. He flied to deep left into a double play in the second. Bounces one, first base side of the mound. Bonham runs it down and underhands to Driessen. And very quickly, the Astros are up and down in order. So Bonham has retired 11 in a row. We're 4.5 innings deep into this ball game with a score: Cincinnati 1 and Houston nothing.
Reach for the sun, for the one thing that'll make your day. Reach for the sun and say, hello, sunshine. Hello, sunshine. Drench your thirst in morning sunshine. Nothing else tastes or feels quite like Mountain Dew, or goes down as smooth like a soft breeze on a lazy afternoon. Now's your time to shine. Now your moment's come. Reach for the sun. Reach for Mountain Dew.
If you're going to be at the ball game during the Reds' 2-week homestand, make sure you pay a visit to the Reds 580 gift shop. Stop by on your way to the game or on your way home, whatever the case might be. 580, as you know, is conveniently located in downtown Cincinnati at the corner of 6th and Walnut. Check out some of the brand new souvenirs: a Reds uniform shirt, your own Cincinnati Reds trophy, a Red Spiral notebook, and the latest books about baseball, including new ones by Johnny Bench and George Foster. Lots of fun things for Reds fans of all ages at the 580 gift shop. Danny Driessen to lead off the home half of the 5th inning. Scoreboard stumper. Joe Morgan holds the club record for stolen bases with 391. Can you name the other 4 members of the Reds' all-time top 5 stolen base leaders since 1900? Driessen up for the second time. He fly to center. Takes a low and in fastball for ball 1. Andujar, since being touched for the leadoff home run by Ken Griffey in the first inning, has retired 12 batters in a row. Swung on, a slow curve grounded foul at first base into the waiting hands of Coach Ron Plaza. 1-1. 2 hits total in the game. The homer by Griffey for the Reds, the single by Cruz in the second for Houston. Well, we saw some outstanding pitching last night from Freddie Norman and Kenny Forsch, and seeing it again today from Bonham and Andujar. 1-1 pitch. High and away, 2 balls a strike. Ray Knight will be up next. We are in the bottom of the 5th inning. Swung on and drilled to right field. That's going to be by Denny Walling. The ball bounds away from him, going back towards center field. Driessen coast into second base, standing up with a double, and the streak for Andujar stops at 12. Leadoff double by Danny Driessen brings up Ray Knight. And we'd like to congratulate Bill Stewart's secretary in the ticket office, Nancy Owen. Right down, Nancy, in the hospital after giving birth yesterday morning at 9:40 a.m. to a 6-pound, 5-ounce baby boy, Eric Lawrence Owen. Nancy, congratulations. Ray Knight will try to make it 2-0 if he can base hit Andujar. Grounded out to shortstop in the second inning. Driessen leading at second base, nobody out. Knight bunts but foul. They try to get the runner over to third for Cruz coming up next. Knight batting .308. Cabell a step inside the bag at third base. And the pitch. Knight squares, bunts, foul off third. Strike 2. Ray has offered a 2 pitches from Andujar in bunt attempts, and both of them he's found foul. Right now, Cedeno walking in from first base to have a word with his pitcher. Well, at Indianapolis Ball Club playing good baseball once again. They made it 3 in a row last night, taking an 8-5 victory over Evansville. Of course, that a big series. Evansville has pretty much been on top of the heap in that division all season long. No balls, 2 strikes. Here comes a pitch. Knight takes it inside. Don Valley a big night with 3 hits and 3 RBIs, including a couple of home runs, bringing his total on the year to 12. Jay Howe winning his 7th game of the season against 4 losses. Danny Driessen has doubled to begin the inning. Andujar stretches, pitches. Knight chases the pitch away and slaps the liner over toward the Reds dugout. Now bounding back onto the field where it's picked up by second base umpire Brocklander. Seaver and Richard tomorrow night, 8:05 wrap-up to this series. Tom named the National League Player of the Week last week, giving up only 1 run in 2 starts, beating Houston 2-1 and San Francisco Saturday 2-0. Swung on and fouled again by Ray. And he's mad. He swats at the bat. Loses it, rolling out in front of the plate. Well, the Reds are trying to add another run to their lead. After Griffey homered in the first inning, Andujar retired 12 straight, but Driessen has snapped the string with a double to right field. Andujar taking a lot of time to the rising bag. Now steps onto the pitching rubber. Sights a sign from Ashby. Checks Driessen. Pitches tonight. Swung on. Bouncing ball. First base. Foul. Well, that would have been as good as a sacrifice had the ball stayed fair. Ray going the other way, trying to get Driessen over to third base, but it just went foul as it approached the bag at first. Final day for All-Star voting today. Game, of course, coming up the middle of the month at the Kingdome out in Seattle, and the results of the tabulation will be announced sometime next week. Another foul back. Ray hanging right in there with Andujar. Holding count of 1 ball, 2 strikes. Andujar and Knight dueling here in the 5th with Hector Cruz on deck and Cesar Geronimo to follow. Here's a pitch. Swung on and fouled off again. Talk about all the injuries that the Reds players have suffered this season. Ray Knight back in the lineup, but don't think for a minute that he's 100%. He hurt his thumb way back some time ago, then re-injured it down in Houston. Did not play any more during the road trip, and this is where it bothers him the most, as we pointed up last night when he gripped the bat. Here's a slow topper along the third baseline. Danny Driessen almost got hung up. Fortunately, Andujar did not look that way. He threw on to Cedeno to get the out on Ray Knight, but Driessen came about 3/4 of the way down to third, stopped momentarily, and then came on to third base. Andujar never looking to the left side of the diamond, instead came up throwing. Knight is out, and Driessen moves to third base, and now Andujar apparently suffering a discomfort of sorts, to the extent that the Houston trainer, Don Kiger, has come out to the mound to take a look at him. So Knight out 1-3 with Driessen moving to third base and Hector Cruz now waiting. Apparently Andujar suffering a slight right knee injury as he planted to make the throw to Cedeno. They're going to allow him, I think, to throw a few pitches down to Ashby to make sure he's well enough to remain in. Well, all he needs is one pitch. Says he's all right. So a runner at third with one down. And Hector Cruz stands in. He bounced out Reynolds to Cedeno in the second inning. The Houston infield will pull in tight. Oh, at the least, we need a fly ball here, deep enough to get Danny in from third base. Reds leading by one, trying to get another. The pitch, that's taken for a strike. Cruz didn't agree with the call by Paul Pryor. Cedeno, Howe, Reynolds, Cabell, all in on the Houston infield. Cruz with a broken bat pop-up out towards second, and Howe will play it for the second out. Well, the heat taken off the Houston defense. Cruz popping it up on the infield with two away. Now the batter will be Cesar Geronimo. Once again, Cedeno back behind the mound talking with Andujar. Geronimo out short to first as a leadoff batter in the third inning. He's up for the second time. High, ball one. Danny Driessen stationed over at third base after he doubled to begin the inning to right field, advanced to third on the ground out, pitch to first by Knight, and stays there as Cruz pops up to second base. Swung on and foul. Back into the seats, well back of the Houston dugout, back onto the green level. 1 ball and 1 strike. Andujar working from the windup. Glances to third. To wind the pitch. Line drive, base hit left field. Cesar Geronimo with a big 2-out hit to left. That scores Danny Driessen, and Cincinnati leading 2-0. Geronimo with a line drive the opposite way to pick up his 21st run batted in, and that gives the Reds a 2-run lead as the inning continues now for Bill Bonham. Bonham fly to left field his first time up. There's a throw to first. Jose Cruz had a bit of a problem corralling that ball in left field. There's a bit of moisture out there. Here's a swing and a pop-up on the left side. Cabell, the third baseman, will play it, and the inning is over. But Cincinnati in the fifth gets a run on 2 hits, stranding 1. Through 5 full, the Reds 2 and Houston nothing.
In 1938, Deacon Bill McKechnie became the Reds' new manager, and he had a big job to do, as the Reds had finished a dismal last the previous season. But McKechnie, who had previously won pennants with both Pittsburgh and St. Louis, engineered a sudden change in the hapless Reds. He led them into the first division in 38 and to a pennant in 39, to become the only manager to win pennants with 3 different teams. I'm Pee Wee Reese, bringing you the history of America's first Major League Ball Club, sponsored by the First National Bank of Cincinnati. When it comes time for you to open a checking account, think of First National, the bank that brings you the Reds on radio.
We can help First National Bank.
Member FDIC.
Marty Brenneman with Joe Nutsaw. We're back at Riverfront on this 4th of July encounter with the Reds against Houston. Cincinnati now leading at 2-0 as we go to the top of the 6th inning in the bottom third of the Astros batting order. Howe, Ashby, and Andujar. The answer to our scoreboard stumper, the Reds' all-time top 5 stolen base leaders. Joe Morgan at the head of the pack with 391. Beta Pinson. Our next is Bob Bescher with 319. Then comes Dave Concepcion, 234. Beta Pinson, 221. And Ed Roush with 189. Morgan, Bescher, Concepcion, Pinson, and Roush, the all-time top 5 stolen base leaders in Reds history. Art Howe without a hit. He popped the short in the 3rd inning. Bill Bonham has retired 11 straight since the 2nd inning single by Cruz. Right-handed batter, and the pitch to him is taken low for a ball. Howe returning to the Houston starting lineup last night for the first time in 2 weeks. He'd been out with a pulled hamstring muscle. That's high. 2 balls and no strikes. Well, the Astros have gotten super defensive play out of people like Rafael Landeskog and Julio Gonzalez in Howe's absence. Swung on and pulled down the 3rd baseline by Ray Knight. Rolling into left field. Cruz up with the ball. He overran it. The ball goes all the way to the wall. Howe's coming to 3rd base, and he'll be in standing. Well, Hector Cruz having that ball bounce over his glove in left field. And Art Howe takes the opportunity to go all the way to 3rd base. Well, you wonder if they're going to score that a single and a 2-base error or a double and a 1-base error. It's going to be a single and a 2-base error charged to Hector Cruz. So Houston gets a break and the error by the left fielder, and now the Astros will try to take advantage of it. As Alan Ashby steps in, he takes a strike. Reds leading by 2. Houston trying to get 1 as Howe stands at 3rd with nobody out. Infield playing back. They'll give up the run to get the out. And that's going to be a strike. Ashby started around, thought he checked his swing in time, but Ed Vargo says no, strike 2. No balls and 2 strikes. Andujar on deck. Bonham sights the sign, sends in the pitch, and Ashby lines it foul off to the left. That's out of play. Count holding at 2 strikes on the .230 hitting Houston catcher Alan Ashby. Pitch. Ground ball hit to shortstop. Rick Auerbach up throwing. The run scores and the out made at first base. So Ashby gets an RBI as 27. As Howe comes across to make it a 1-run ball game once again, a 2-1, and the batter will be pitcher Andujar. Bonham delivers, and Andujar, that one goes through and all the way back to the screen. And that'll be ball 1, and well, you have to reflect back to what occurred in the 4th inning when Joe Morgan was at the plate, and Andujar really came up and in on him. Andujar now talking to Johnny Bench as he backs away from the plate. And you might say that things are all even right now. Andujar not happy about it, but again, as Joe pointed out when Morgan was hitting, Andujar can't be as wild as he showed on that pitch. Ground ball to shortstop. Auerbach will throw him out, and they're 2 away. The batter will be Terry Puhl. Andujar saying something to Bill Bonham as he crosses between the plate and the mound. And now Ray Knight having something to say to Andujar, who throws his helmet away. He starts over toward Ray Knight. And I'll tell you, Ray would love to have some of it. Both dugouts empty. Everything calm right now as Andujar and Ray Knight had words. Andujar swung his batting helmet away. Tried to get at Ray Knight, although I don't really think he wanted any of Ray. Was restrained by a couple of his teammates, and that's going to be the extent of it. Now J.R. Richard and George Foster jockeying back and forth, putting on a little bit of show.
Pretty good show by Andujar. I don't think he wants anything.
I just said that. He didn't want any of Ray Knight at all.
Very good show. You don't want any Ray Knight, I'll guarantee you.
I think Ray wanted some of him, though.
Absolutely. Well, that's the old retaliation figure there, factor.
Things are all even up now.
Yeah. You have to accept your medicine when you do things. It's kind of like the old days.
So everything cool, no blows thrown. Andujar was restrained by his teammates, as I think he knew he would be. And now Bill Bonham will go about the task of facing Terry Puhl with 2 out. Ray with a big grin on his face down at third base as Bonham delivers and Puhl takes it low and inside a ball. That's too low. 2 balls and no strikes. Reds leading Houston 2-1. That's a strike on the inside corner. Ray Knight just made a motion, holding his hand down about 2 feet above the ground, looking into the Houston dugout. Here's a swing and a miss by Puhl. Now, here comes Cedeno out of the dugout, and here we go. Now they're going at it. No fooling around now. It looked like Cedeno jumped the railing in the Houston dugout, came out onto the field, or... Now we'll have to wait. I'm not sure if it was Cedeno. It was a Houston player, and I don't think it was Andujar. There were some blows thrown. They are milling around at third base. It was Cedeno who jumped the railing and charged Ray Knight at third base, and there were a couple of pretty good licks thrown.
Marty, it's hard to tell. Somebody went in there head first, and who it was, I do not know. But...
Now, Cedeno being restrained by a deacon.
Now Morgan and Andujar are talking, and apparently everything has calmed down in a hurry, but it certainly, I would imagine, had to do this one with Cedeno and Ray Knight, but whether it was part of Andujar or not, I do not know. But I'll say one thing, it erupted in a hurry.
Well, Joe, as I mentioned, Ray Knight made some kind of motion, holding his hand palm down toward the AstroTurf about 1.5 feet off the ground, and about 15 seconds later, here came Cedeno.
Well, Marty, the first time up, Ray Knight, Andujar threw, I think that might be what Ray Knight was talking about, so it was in on him, and he had to skip away. Now, that's just speculation, but I think that's what Ray might have been referring to.
Well, both ball clubs are still on the field. The umpires have taken charge. They are now... Ed Vargo, the crew chief, is talking with John McNamara. We're going to have to wait and see if anybody has been ejected from the game. Now Andujar is having to be restrained as he's being escorted back to the Houston dugout. So the Reds get into it for the second time this season. The first out at Dodger Stadium. If a decision had been rendered in that one, it would have gone overwhelmingly to Cincinnati. And I'll tell you, it looked like, from our vantage point, Ray Knight threw a couple of good shots at Cedeno before both clubs filtered onto the field and helped break it up. After talking with McNamara, Vargo now in front of the Houston dugout, conferring with Bill Burton, the Houston manager. All the Reds players are still out there. Most of the Houston players have retired to the dugout.
We'll just have to wait and see. It might be both Cedeno and Ray Knight to leave the ball game, but we'll have to wait and see what the final decision is.
Well, Johnny Bench gesturing to somebody in the Cincinnati dugout.
Looks like Junior Kennedy is going to loosen up, so he'll definitely be at third base. And right now, Ed Vargo talking with Joe Morgan. John McNamara, Paul Blair is there, but Ray Knight will have to leave the ball game. And, well, the only thing we can say is we hope Ray didn't hurt his left thumb again.
Well, we've got a break in the action here at Riverfront, and we'll be back with more in just a moment. Well, the umpires are still out talking with Bill Burton. John McNamara is heading back toward the Cincinnati dugout, and Junior Kennedy is now playing third base, so it's safe to assume that Ray Knight has been ejected from the game, and we would assume as Cedeno has also been thrown out. And as Joe made the point, we would only hope that Ray has not re-injured that left thumb as a result of throwing a couple of licks at Cedeno. Right now, we'll pause for station identification on the Cincinnati Reds Baseball Network. Fireworks on the 4th, and brother, we got them this afternoon. So with 2 down, things have calmed down, and the batter will be Terry Puhl. A count of 2 balls and 2 strikes on him when the fight broke out. Bonham sends it in, and Puhl swings, and he misses. He struck him out with a changeup, and that's the inning. Houston gets 1 run, unearned, but a run nevertheless on a hit and error. Nobody left, and at the end of 5 1/2, Cincinnati 2 and Houston 1.
The time is right, that feeling's coming through.
Real beer lovers know only one beer will do.
Stroh for the real beer lovers. Stroh tastes like no other. Stroh for the real beer lovers. Real beer lovers say they'd go out of their way for a Stroh. Stroh for the real beer lovers. Stroh tastes like no other. Stroh for the real beer lover. From one beer lover to another. Stroh.
The Stroh Brewery, Detroit, Michigan.
Well, the Cincinnati Reds' big salute to the agriculture industry is coming up Saturday, July 14th, when the Reds and the Cubs get together at 7 o'clock. Lots of prizes will be awarded after the game. An International Harvester diesel-powered tractor, a 1979 GMC pickup truck, 2 cases of eggs, and 2 turkeys from the Ohio Poultry Association. A set of Uniroyal tires for the farm truck or family car, and enough Amabin soybean herbicide to treat 30 acres. Be on hand, plenty of seats available, and if you can't attend, send a postcard with your name and address to be received before the July 14th drawing to Farmers Night, Riverfront Stadium, Cincinnati. Now the Astros are back on the field, and the changes for Houston as a result of Cedeno's being ejected. Enos Cabell has moved across the diamond from 3rd to 1st. Art Howe goes from 2nd to 3rd, and Rafael Landistoi is now playing second base. Cedeno and Ray Knight, the principals in the fight, have both been thrown out. And now the Reds will be sending up the top of the order here in the 6th inning. Ken Griffey, Rick Auerbach, and Joe Morgan. 2 runs, 3 hits, an error for Cincinnati, a run, 2 hits, and no errors for Houston up to this point. I'd like to send along our best holiday wishes today to fans listening on WCHO AM and FM in Washington Courthouse, Ohio, in Anderson, Indiana on WHBU, on WSFC and WSEK FM in Somerset, Kentucky, and in Grundy, Virginia on WMJD. Landistoi will be batting in the 3rd spot in the Houston order. Ken Griffey homered in the 1st inning off a 3-2 pitch, his 7th of the season. And the run that right now has the Reds out in front was the one we tallied in the 5th inning on a double by Driessen and a 2-out single by Geronimo. Shallow at 3rd, Art Howe. Andujar delivers to Ken Griffey, and the pitch is foul back. Strike 1. Well, we've lost 2 starters today in this game alone, one by injury. Dave Concepcion with a groin pull. Ray Knight ejected for fighting. Strike 1 pitch. Swung on, ground ball slapped to 1st. Up with the ball, Cabell. He'll underhand to Andujar to get the out. Rick Auerbach. Up in the 4th inning, Rick struck out. Auerbach batting 190. No homers and 6 RBIs. He's had 11 hits on the year, and 6 of the 11 have been doubles, 3 of them coming in one game out in Los Angeles. High ball 1. That's up and in. 2 balls and no strikes. Andujar struck out 2. He has not walked a batter. Bonham has fanned 3. He hasn't walked anybody. .2-0 coming to Rick Arbach. Swung on and popped up. Out toward the shortstop Reynolds in a few steps, and near second makes the catch. Here's Joe Morgan. Joe still looking to extend his hitting streak that stands right now at 10 ball games. Quite a first 2 days in this series. A fireworks display on the river after the game last night. Morgan lines one to right field. Base hit. Ball gets by Walling. Joe takes a turn. He's going to go to second, and he'll be in standing up. Ball took a big bounce off the turf and shot by Denny Walling. That'll be a double for Morgan, and Joe's hitting streak goes to 11.
Marty, of course, they have the AstroTurf in the dome, but it never gets to the condition, and it gets here simply because of the rain we had this morning, and that ball almost got Walling in the side of the face as it skipped off the wet turf.
So Johnny Bench steps in. Fireworks last night, fireworks here at the park today. Before the game, we had the Kings Island Clown Band and the Kings Island characters providing free game entertainment. Johnny Bench hits a high fly ball into shallow right. The second baseman Landestoy under and has it to end the inning. So for Cincinnati in the 6th, no runs, 1 hit and 1 left, and after 6 complete, the Reds 2 and Houston 1.
They said it couldn't be done. Whoops, we've done it again. We got together and did it again.
They said it couldn't happen. I mean, there's no way a man could land on the moon, let alone come back to tell the tale. That's what they said, and yet it did happen. An American spaceship called Apollo 11 did land on the moon in the Sea of Tranquility on July 20th, 1969, 10 years ago. And so did all the millions of Americans who got together to make it happen with their individual efforts and their support. When we get together, we can do what can't be done.
We got together to do it better.
The Marathon Oil Company says congratulations to us all on the 10th anniversary of our landing on the moon.
7th inning about to unfold at Riverfront, and it'll be Craig Reynolds to start things off against Bill Bonham, who's pitched 6 innings of 2-hit baseball. Back with a play-by-play, here's Joe.
All right, Marty. Craig Reynolds has been to the plate twice against Bill Bonham, and Bill has got him swinging each time up. Bonham's 2 strikeouts, both have been Craig Reynolds. The Reds have out-hit the Astros 4-2. Houston getting a hit in the 2nd inning and another in the 6th. Base hit in the 6th wound up Art Howe scoring as he reached 3rd on an error by Hector Cruz in left field. Ball that actually hit the lip out there where the stands are moved out into left field, and there's a covering out there, and the ball jumped over Hector's glove. Pitch to Reynolds is swung on and fouled back. Reds leading 2-1. Reynolds, Landestoy will be hitting in Cedeno's spot, and then Jose Cruz. A bunt attempt, and that's going to be trouble. Driessen with the ball, and that'll be a base hit for Craig Reynolds. So he drags one to the right, and Danny gets to it, but cannot get to Reynolds. A base hit for Reynolds. At number 3 for Houston, and the batter is Landestoy. Landestoy hitting 197 with 7 RBIs. He's had a double and 2 triples. Raphael, a switch hitter, hitting left-handed against Bill Bonham. Jose Cruz on deck. Junior Kennedy already in at third, looking for the bunt. Bonham the stretch. Landestoy starts to square, and Bonham steps back off the pitching rubber. Now the stretch and the pitch. Landestoy squares to bunt, takes high and inside a ball. Now Tommy Hume and Dave Tomlin will begin to throw down in the Cincinnati bullpen. Bonham checking in with bench, the stretch, the pitch. Inside, and it's 2 balls, no strikes. Two and 0 the count to Landestoy with Reynolds at first. The stretch, the pitch. A bunt, and that one's going to roll foul off the first baseline. 2-1. Well, last night at Tampa, Steve Skaggs, a graduate of Ohio University, pitched a 4-hit shutout as the Tampa Tarpons beat the Daytona Beach Ball Club 7-0. Out west, Eugene scored twice in the 10th inning to beat Medford 4-2. 2-1 the count to Landestoy. Tomlin and Hume throwing in the Reds bullpen. Bonham checking in with bench. Now the stretch. He delivers. Landestoy squares the bunt and fouls back. So the count even now at 2-2. To the count to Landestoy. Reynolds off the bag at first. The stretch and the pitch. Landestoy swings and fouls. Bill has struck out 2, has not walked the batter. Landestoy away from the plate, now back in. Bonham nods the okay to the sign. He'll throw over to first, and Reynolds steps back. Reynolds with 7 stolen bases and 12 attempts. The stretch, the pitch. Landestoy swings on it and fouls it straight back. The count holds 2-2. Landestoy away from the plate. Third base coach Bob Lillis flashing a sign. Bonham sets and again throws to first. Reynolds is back. Bill again to the belt and delivers. Landestoy swings and fouls, and that one gets bench on the leg. Out holding at 2 balls, 2 strikes. St. Louis, the Pirates rather, scored 2 runs in the first inning and lead the Cardinals 2-0. St. Louis at bat in the bottom half of the first. Blyleven and Vukovic in that one. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Landestoy. Bonham delivers. Landestoy swings and bounces it back to Bill. He'll go to Arbach 1 and no throw to first as Landestoy has good speed. And Arbach did the wise thing, hanging on to the ball. Oh, Reynolds is forced back at second. From Bonham to Arbach, who's at shortstop. Landestoy now at first base, and Jose Cruz the batter. Cruz 1 for 2. He singled in the second inning and hit a fly ball to Geronimo in left center in the 5th. Waiting on Cruz to settle in. He's there. Bonham has his sign. Sets and delivers. Cruz swings and fouls out of the mid of bench. 0-1. Still has the sign. Checks Landis-Story, delivers. Cruz takes it under the knees of the ball. 1-1. Outfield is straight away to Cruz, left-handed batter. On him, a throw over to first. Landis-Story is back. One out with Landis-Story at first base. The Reds leading 2-1 here in the seventh. Bonham ready and again throws to first, and again Landis-Story goes back hands first. Enos Cabell, the on-deck batter, the pitch. Swung on, that's pop foul off to the left. That'll drift back into the seats. Bonham now ahead, a ball, 2 strikes to Jose Cruz. Still checking in with bench as his sign. He'll throw over to first. Landis-Story again back. Reds with Dave Tomlin and Tommy Hume throwing in the bullpen. The pitch out, nothing going on, and the count evens 2-2. Bonham has the sign. And Landis-Story goes. The pitch is swung on and hit off the end of the bat down the left field line. Over as Hector bobbles the ball. Here comes the runner Landis-Story. We have a tie ball game. And boy, that's the way things are going for the Astros. And when things are going right, they go right. Cruz with a full swing and just hit a cue shot off the end of the bat over the head of Kennedy down the left field line, and Landis-Story was running. He scores all the way from first base, and we have a tie ball game for Jose Cruz, his 17th double of the year and his 45th RBI. Only the fourth hit of the game for Houston. And here's Enos Cabell. Cabell 0 for 2. Bonham delivers. Cabell takes it low ball. Cruz leads at second. Bonham sets the pitch. Cabell takes outside. 2 balls, no strike. Outfield playing Cabell straight away. This is a .264 batting average. Bonham, the 2-0. That's inside. 3 balls, no strikes. Denny Walling on deck. The stretch, the pitch. Cabell swings on a 3-0 pitch behind the bag. Arbach, quick throw, not in time. Rick appeared to have trouble getting the ball out of his glove, and that gave just enough time to Enos Cabell to beat the throw. So runners now at first and third with 1 out. The batter, Denny Walling, and John McNamara is out of the Cincinnati dugout. Well, nothing to write home about here, but the Astros have scored a run and have the go-ahead run at third base. Started off with Craig Reynolds, a drag bunt. Landis-Story forced Reynolds at second, and then Cruz hit one off the end of the bat down the left field line to score Landis-Story, and now the infield single by Enos Cabell. But Bill Bonham will lead, and we'll have Dave Concepcion to come on to face Denny Walling, but we'll see what Bill Burden might decide to do. we're tied up 2-2 here in the 7th. Runners at first and third for the Astros, and Dave Tomlin making his way in from the Reds bullpen. So a break in the action here at Riverfront, and we'll be back after this word.
Yeah, I just heard about your Tigers door-to-door. Give me a rate on 90 pounds to east side.
Flying Tigers? Sure, we'll come and get it. Any weight, any size, any shape.
Tigers, I'd like your truck here at 8:30. 200 pounds. Come around with that.
Flying Tigers has a new service, and here's how it works. We pick the shipment up at your place. We take sole responsibility for putting it on your customer's doorstep, and we do the whole job with one piece of paper.
Tigers door-to-door is going to save you time. It's going to save you grief. It's going to save you money. And if we can make it any simpler than that, we will.
Flying Tigers. The world's leading air freight airline.
The pitcher on the mound for the Reds is Dave Tomlin. Dave making his 35th appearance of the year. He's won 2 and lost 1 and owns a .225 earned run average. 31 2/3 innings. Tomlin has allowed 33 hits, has struck out 16 and walked 12, and he will be facing a pinch hitter for Dennis Walling, and it's going to be Jeff Leonard. Leonard hitting .280. He's had 19 RBIs, 6 doubles, and 2 triples. As a pinch hitter, Leonard is 3 for 7, or 1 for 7, rather, and 3 RBI. So it'll be Cruz at third base, Cabell at first with 1 out, and the score tied. Jeff Leonard, a right-handed batter against the left-hander Tomlin. The Reds infield pulled in. A stretch by Tomlin. And he delivers. Leonard swings and hits the first pitch into left field. That'll drop for a base hit. Cruz scores. Moving to second is Cabell, and the Astros lead it 3-2. Oh, Jeff Leonard wastes little time in jumping on the first pitch delivered by Dave Tomlin to single to left, scoring Jose Cruz with the second run of the inning. At number 6 rather, for Houston. And here's Art Howe. Howe 1 for 2 this afternoon. Tomlin delivers. Howe takes high and outside a ball. One ball, no strikes to Art Howe. Cabell at second, Leonard at first. Houston leading 3-2. Tomlin ready, and a pitch. Howe takes low. 2-0 the count. Sarmiento joins Hume in the Cincinnati bullpen. Here's the 2-0. Howe swings, and he hits it into center field. Going back is Geronimo, has room. Barron makes the catch, and moving back to second is Enos Cabell. 2 away, and the batter will be Alan Ashby. Ashby 0 for 2 and an RBI. Ashby hitting .229, 26 RBIs. Cabell at second, Leonard at first. The pitch. Ashby takes it low and outside the ball. Tomlin to the belt. Delivers. Ashby takes again low, and the count 2 balls, no strike. Here's the 2-0. Ashby looks at his strike and he's 2-1. Astros have scored 2 here in the inning. They lead 3-2. Have runners at first and second with 2 outs. The stretch and the pitch. Swing and a line drive to left, but there waiting on it is Hector Cruz, and that's the inning. For the Astros, they got 2 runs on 4 hits. There were no errors and 2 runners left on base. The middle of the 7th. Houston 3, Cincinnati 2.
Do you know everything Frisch's is?
Plan your 4th of July holiday, don't forget to include carry-out from Frisch's. You can have an instant picnic just by phoning in your order to your nearby Frisch's restaurant. Whether it's after the parade, during the day, or before the fireworks, any time is a good time to give the good people at Frisch's a call for a carry-out. Frisch's, who have so much more.
Come see the good people at Frisch's. Frisch's has so much more. Frisch's has so much more.
Well, we need a run to get even, and it'll be Danny Driessen to lead it off, followed by Junior Kennedy and then Hector Cruz. The Reds have had 4 hits off Andujar, and 2 of the 4 hits have been, 3 of the 4 hits actually have been for extra bases. Griffey's home run in the 1st, Driessen's double in the 5th, and Morgan's double in the 6th. The Astros scoring 2 in the top of the inning to take a 3-2 lead. Driessen 1 for 2, as we said. He scored on Geronimo's single in the 5th inning. Actually, Andujar, in feeling the chopper off the bat of Ray Knight, did not look at third base, and Driessen had more or less stopped before reaching third, but Andujar paid no attention to Danny and threw on to first to get Ray Knight. Jeff Leonard will stay in the game. He'll be in right field in place of Denny Walling. Andujar completes his warm-ups, and Danny Driessen makes his way to the plate. Driessen, 12 home runs, 42 RBIs on the year, and a .260 batting average. Andujar checking in with Ashby, has the sign and delivers. High and outside of ball. A 1-0. Change is high. 2 balls, no strikes. Andujar, Rosenbach now back to the pitching rubber. He delivers the 2-0. Driessen swings and pops it up. An off-speed pitch. Calling for it is Cabell at first. And Enos there and has it. 1 away. Joe Sambito begins throwing down in the Houston bullpen. Junior Kennedy to the plate for the first time in the game. Junior, a .279 batting average, 7 RBIs, and 4 doubles. Hector Cruz on deck. Andujar ready to deliver his first pitch to Kennedy. Junior swings and grounds to Reynolds at short. Craig up, going on to Cabell. 2 away, and we'll pause for station identification. This is the Cincinnati Reds Baseball Network.
Hi, this is Jim LeBlanc, the music professor. Join me afternoons 2 to 6 here on WLW Cincinnati.
Purchase your Cincinnati Reds tickets downtown at the 580 building and the stadium, at suburban Burkhart's men's stores, at Elder Bierman, at Swifton Center and Beachmont Mall, and at Home Federal Savings in Western Hills.
All right, here's Hector Cruz. Hector 0 for 2. He swings and fouls Andujar's first pitch. 0-1. Outfield, shading Cruz around to the left. Art Howe protecting the line down at third, and he is deep. Andujar delivers the 0-1. That's just high as Andujar drops down on Cruz. 1-1. Andujar side-arming and a bit high with the pitch. Now Joaquin does a little groundwork around the pitching rubber, dusting the rubber off and putting some dirt in the hole in front of the rubber. He's ready with the 1-1 pitch to Cruz. That's outside, breaking ball, 2-1. Geronimo on deck. Zambito throwing in the Houston bullpen. Andujar now tying his left shoelace. Joaquin has the sign from Ashby and delivers the 2-1 to Cruz. It's swung on and popped foul. Back and behind the plate into the seats. Count evens 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes to Hector Cruz as Andujar delivered. That's swung on and grounded to Reynolds at short. Here's so to Cabell, and that's the inning. Reds out in order in the 7th, nothing across. And after 7, Houston 3, Cincinnati 2.
The time is right. That feeling's coming through. And real beer lovers know that only one beer will do. Stroh's for the real beer lover. Stroh's tastes like no other. Stroh's for the real beer lover. The real beer lovers say they go out of their way for the Stroh's. For the real beer lover, Stroh's tastes like no other. Stroh's for the real beer lover, from one beer lover to another. Stroh's.
The Stroh Brewery, Detroit, Michigan.
7-inning totals show Houston 3 runs, 6 hits, no errors. The Reds 2 runs, 4 hits, and 1 error. Joaquin Andujar will lead it off for the Astros in the 8th. Back for the action. Here's Marty.
Thank you, Joe. Andujar is 0 for 2. He's bounced out to second and also to shortstop. Well, Dave Tomlin, who came on to relieve Bill Bonham in the last inning, gave up a run-scoring single to Jeff Leonard to break the 2-2 tie before getting Howe on a fly to center and Ashby on a line out to left. Here's a pitch, and it's swung on and missed. 26,491 here today. 26,491. Andujar behind a strike as Tomlin sends in the next pitch, and that one is strike 2 swinging. No balls and 2 strikes. Terry Puhl on deck. He'll be followed by Craig Reynolds. Tomlin out in front. No balls, 2 strikes, and we'll try to put him away with this pitch. And Andujar pops it up and out of play behind the screen. Houston pitcher stepping back into the batter's box. He swings and misses. Tomlin picks up his first strikeout, and now we'll go back to the top of the order for Terry Puhl. Been in the ball game with your favorite group this year? Bet you had a great time. How about picking out another ball game in July, August, or September and making plans for another trip to Riverfront? The Reds Group sales office is waiting to roll out the Reds carpet for you. Terry Puhl is flied out, lined out, and struck out. He's 0 for 3, batting .275. He takes a strike. Swung on and bounced to the mound. Tomlin throws on to Driessen, 2 out. The pitching line on Bill Bonham, he went 6 1/3 innings, allowing 5 hits and 3 runs, 2 of them earned. Struck out 3 and did not walk a batter, and well, Bill right now the pitcher of record unless the Reds can come back in their final 2 times. Craig Reynolds, 1 for 3. He got the 7th inning going with a bunt single and then was forced at second base when Landistoi hit back to the mound. Backs him off the plate, ball 1. Well, there can be no question that everything Houston is doing right now is right. 2 balls and no strikes. Landistoi running on the pitch in the last inning to Cruz, who hit a soft line drive, just clearing the glove of Junior Kennedy. Swing and a miss. That brought Landistoi all the way around to score the tying run. 2 gone here in the top of the 8th. Here's a bunt foul off third. Well, Reynolds successful in his bunt attempt when he took it with him in the 7th inning, trying to go the other way here in the 8th for another bunt single. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Only game underway in the American League in the bottom of the 3rd. Chicago leading Cleveland 5-0. Chet Lemon has homered for the White Sox. Here's a fly ball hit to right field. Ken Griffey coming hard. He's under, and the inning is over. So Dave Tomlin retires the Astros in order. And after 7 1/2 innings of play, Houston leads Cincinnati 3-2.
One of more than 2,000 prizes could be yours in the Conn's Baseball Hot Dog Sweepstakes. Enter today. You could win a brand new automobile, Cincinnati Reds fun-filled weekends, Dave Concepcion baseball gloves, tickets to Reds games, autographed baseballs, or Reds t-shirts. Get official entry blanks at your favorite food store. Enter as often as you like, but mail each entry separately, accompanied by the rose from any Conn's product or reasonable facsimile. Use official entry blank or a 4x6-inch piece of paper mailed to Conn's Baseball Hot Dog Sweepstakes, Post Office Box 2428, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45202. Entries must be postmarked no later than midnight, August 4th. Enter now. Remember, over 2,000 prizes from Conn's, where great meat makes great wieners. Depend on Conn's, the official hot dog of the Cincinnati Reds.
Doug Bear heading down to the Cincinnati bullpen to begin loosening up as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Geronimo will begin it against the new Houston pitcher. Left-hander Joe Sambito has now come onto the mound to try and nail it down for Andujar. Well, Geronimo will lead it off. We'll have a pinch hitter then for pitcher Dave Tomlin, and then leadoff batter Ken Griffey. Joe Sambito has been absolutely something else. To call him the best left-handed relief pitcher in the National League might be understating the issue. This man has appeared in 30 games. He's won 4 and lost 2. Has 8 saves and a 113 earned run average. Has not given up an earned run in the last 32 innings. Well, he's a big guy when you get long about this time in the ball game and you're trying to protect the lead. Sambito is a man that Bill Burton will more often than like go to. Not allowed an earned run in his last 21 games. That covers 32 innings. The last earned runs charged against Joe on the 1st of May. That was in the 11th inning when Roger Freed hit a pinch-hit grand slam home run in St. Louis to give the Cardinals a victory. He's allowed 2 unearned runs during this stretch while compiling a 2-1 record with 5 saves. He is still loosening up to catcher Alan Ashby. And the pitching line on Joaquin Andujar, 7 innings. He allowed the Reds only 4 base hits and 2 runs, both earned, while striking out 2 and not walking a batter. And if Sambito can do the job that Bill Verdon and company hopes he can over the last 2 frames, Andujar would win his 10th game of the season. Now, Geronimo to lead it off. Already moving to the on-deck circle is Paul Blair. He will pinch hit.
Marty, I don't know if something physically is wrong with Andujar, because apparently a thumb might have stemmed from that time at bat we mentioned early in the ball game. I think his first time up when he grounded to Joe Morgan. And you'll remember I was mentioning Andujar flexing his right hand, and maybe this is where it all came from. Maybe it could have came from the scuffle, but nevertheless, they're allowing Sambito all the time necessary to get ready.
Couple of pitchers loosening up in the Houston bullpen, and it's hard to say whether or not they're throwing to be ready to be used in relief if the situation should arise. One of them, Randy Neiman, is scheduled to pitch one of the 2 games against the Chicago Cubs in a Saturday doubleheader at Wrigley Field, and the other guy throwing along with him is the fellow who will start the other game, Rick Williams. So maybe they're just getting in some throwing before their starts on Saturday against Chicago. Geronimo is 1 for 2. His single in the 5th inning drove in Denny Driessen with a second Cincinnati run. Left-hander to the plate, and Geronimo fouls it back. Strike 1. Astros are trying to run their winning streak to 6 in a row and their road trip record to 6 wins and 1 loss. Geronimo fouls this one off. The count goes to 2 strikes. Nothing in 2 on Geronimo. Paul Blair will bat for Dave Tomlin. That means we'll have Doug Baer pitching against Houston in the 9th inning. Left-hander kicks and throws. Geronimo swings and he misses. Struck him out. Paul Blair batting 184 with a couple of home runs and 10 RBIs. Blair, as a pinch hitter, is 0 for 2. Left-hander Sambito against a right-handed batting Blair. Paul swings and fouls it at the plate. Final game of this series tomorrow night, 8:05. Seaver against Richard. Chicago will then be beckoning to the Astros for a 4-game weekend, while the Reds remain home to take on the Pirates for 4, including a Sunday doubleheader. Swinging a foul back, strike 2, and here in the 8th inning, Joe Sambito throwing nothing but strikes. Ken Griffey due up next. Andujar down in the Houston dugout with a towel. We would imagine a compress of some sorts on his thumb. Just low, an off-speed pitch. Well, Rick Williams has ceased throwing, but Randy Neiman continues to do it, as does Doug Baer in the Reds bullpen. 1-2, the count on pinch hitter Blair. Pitching Sambito, swinging Paul, and a bouncer foul that goes toward the Houston dugout. The pitching deep Houston Astros getting some outstanding pitching again today from their starter, and now hope their reliever can do the same. There's strike 3. Blair started around, now turns to question Paul Pryor, and that will be back-to-back strikeouts for Joe Sambito, and he'll go to work on Ken Griffey. Kenny has accounted for one of the 2 Cincinnati runs. He homered in the 1st inning, his 7th of the season. On a pretty thin Cincinnati bench right now when you consider that Concepcion had to leave early with a growing pull. Ray Knight was ejected for fighting. He was replaced by Kennedy. There's a call strike. Foster unavailable because of a growing pull, and Dave Collins likewise. This is a crippled up Cincinnati ball club. Strike 2 call. Zambito has struck out Geronimo. He has struck out Blair, and he's 2 strikes in front of Ken Griffey. He delivers, and Griffey takes low and outside. Here's a pitch. Struck him out swinging, and Joe Zambito has struck out the side here in the 8th inning. At the end of 8 complete, Houston 3, Cincinnati 2.
What the doorbell? 6 o'clock Sunday morning?
Paperboy!
Paperboy? Couldn't he? I didn't hear the window break. Oh, it is you, Billy. What's the matter? Sore arm?
I'm not throwing the paper today, Mr. Smith. Too valuable. The Pepsi Generation card's in it.
What card?
The Pepsi Generation card. It's the most valuable card in America. And it's free in this Sunday's paper.
What? It won't cost me anything?
No, it'll save you.
Yeah?
Yeah, with discounts at places like local restaurants, sports events, all kinds of values right here in town.
Hey, the Pepsi Generation card could save me a bundle.
You can win a bundle, too. Up to $10,000 in the Great Grocery Giveaway. And there's lots more events coming.
That's great, Billy. Now toss me the paper. Real easy.
Sure, Mr. Smith.
That's the Billy I know.
Look for your Pepsi Generation card, entry blank and rules in this Sunday's paper. It might be the most valuable card in America.
Third pitcher of the ball game used by the Reds. It's right-hander Doug Baer. Dave Tomlin won an inning and 2/3, allowed a base hit, chalked up a strikeout. Baer 4-4. He suffered his 4th loss of the season last night. In fact, 2 of his 4 losses this season have come at the hands of the Astros. His 34th relief appearance, 11 saves on the year. That's up among the leaders in the National League. And Doug with an ERA of 4.07. And Baer not having the kind of year this season that he had last. Landis-Stoy will lead it off. He came into the Houston lineup when, like Ray Knight, Cesar Cedeno was ejected for fighting back in the 6th inning. Landis-Stoy reached on a fielder's choice in the 7th and scored the tying run. Here's a pitch from Baer, and it swung on and fouled back. Landis-Stoy at the plate. Cruz on deck to be followed by Cabell. They're cranking toward the plate, and Landis-Stoy takes low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bottom of the 9th inning, the Reds will have Rick Arbach, Joe Morgan, and Johnny Bench to bat. Swung on and bounced to short, charging Arbach. Got it. Throwing to first. Got him. Fairly close play. Landis-Stoy can move down that line. Cruz 2 for 3. A single in the 2nd, a run-scoring double in the 7th, and a run batted in his 45th of the season. Mentioned last night the fact that Cruz has been wielding a hot bat for the Astros, especially on this road trip, and he's a leading hitter on the trip, having gone now 11 for 27. He swings and fouls into the middle bench. Had the game-winning hit last night. Up high, a ball. Count evens on the left-handed batter. One pitch. Breaking ball down low, 2-1. Boy, what a difference a day or a year makes. Last year, after 82 ball games, the Astros were 36-46. Tied for 5th place, some 14 games back. Line drive, just foul. Past third, down into the Houston bullpen. 36-46 last year after 82 games. This season,
51-31. And leading the National League West by some 9 games and trying to make it 10. Now Doug Baer throwing in the baseball to plate umpire Paul Pryor for his inspection, and he gives it back to him. Two and two, the count on Cruz with 1 out here in the 9th inning. High breaking ball, full count. The best that Houston has ever had after 82 games by way of a record was 48-34. That was in 1972. Here's a fly ball hit to center. Geronimo under, makes a play, 2 men out. Here's Cabell, he's 1 for 3. Well, Houston right now showing the best record in the history of this baseball team at this point in time. Cabell had a base hit, infield single to shortstop in the 7th. He looks at a strike at the knees. Swung on and hit high in the air. Right field, Ken Griffey loping in, moving toward the foul line, and gathers it in. So the Astros are out 1-2-3 in the 9th inning. We need 1 or more because after the end of 8 1/2, it's Houston 3 and Cincinnati 2.
Detroit, Michigan.
Last call for the Cincinnati Reds. We're in the bottom of the 9th inning. Joe Sambito with an eye-popping 8th inning when he struck out the side. He'll have to contend with the likes of Rick Arbach, Joe Morgan, and Danny Driessen, or Johnny Bench, rather. Here in the bottom of the 9th, if anybody gets on, it'll be Danny Driessen shot at him. Rick Arbach 0 for 2. In the 4th inning, he struck out. In the 6th, he popped the shortstop. Well, in the words of a former baseball announcer, who I can't remember, but we need a bloop and a blast here in the bottom of the 9th inning to win this one. Here's Arbach, and here's the pitch from Sambito, popped up behind third, near the line in shallow left. Craig Reynolds, he makes the play. 1 out. Well, Sambito retiring Arbach on 1 pitch. Joe Morgan double in the 6th inning. He's 1 for 3, having extended his hitting streak to 11 straight. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Sambito trying for his 9th save of the season. Now he'll have to wait on Morgan, who walks back toward the on-deck circle. Houston bullpen has accounted for 14 saves. They have not had a great opportunity to do their specialty this season because of the outstanding pitching work turned in by the starters on this staff. Strike 2 call. Houston has had 33 complete games in 82 tries. Sambito with 8 saves. Andujar has 3. Bert Roberge a couple, and Randy Neiman with 1.
Morgan fouls it away. Count holding at 2 strikes. 1 out into the home 9th inning. The Reds short a run. 3-2. Zambito sights a sign. He comes back to the plate and misses way high for a ball. Johnny Bench watching the action from the on-deck circle. Morgan swings, fly ball back into center field, but it's going to be playable, and on the edge of the warning track, Terry Puhl gathers it in. Oh, with 2 down, the batter will be Bench. John has bounced out twice and popped up. Field deep for Bench and Ford left. Call strike. Well, Zambito has the ability to keep that ball down. Johnny Bench didn't like the call, and lets Paul Pryor know about it. 0-1 the count. Swung on and popped up off third. Let's see if there's a play for Art Howe, the third baseman. There is, and he makes the catch to end the ball game. The Reds are out in order here in the 9th inning. Joe Zambito with 2 perfect innings in relief of winning pitcher Joaquin Andujar. And the Astros have made it 2 in a row over the Reds by winning this one 3-2. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's good to be back here again. Ball game in Cincinnati again. That's where my heart has always been. With the Cincinnati Reds playing baseball again.
Baseball is like an old friend. The longer it's part of your life, the more you like it. That's why so many people come out to see the Cincinnati Reds play. It feels good. The Marathon Oil Company loves baseball just like you do. And the Marathon Oil Company is proud to be here with the Cincinnati Reds.
It's good to be back here again.
Oh, you know it is.
With the Cincinnati Reds playing baseball again.
The Cincinnati Reds and the Marathon Oil Company. We got together to do it better. And we did.
Well, the Houston Astros lead in the Western Division now goes to double digits. They lead the Reds by 10 full games in the Western Division, and realistically, the plight of the Cincinnati ball club right now, not a good one at all. The Reds rack with injury, and as a result, the offense continues to sputter. Andujar today, the winning pitcher, went 7, allowing all 4 of the Reds hits and both of the runs, and Joe Zambito came on to pitch 2 perfect innings in relief to nail down the second straight win by the Astros in this series by the identical score of 3-2. Houston had 3 runs on 6 hits, no errors and 2 left. The Reds with 2 runs, 4 hits, an error, and 2 stranded. Andujar, 10-4, the winning pitcher. Zambito saved number 9. Bill Bonham, who pitched extremely well, nevertheless suffers his second loss of the season compared with 3 wins. Final game of this series coming up at 8:05 tomorrow night. Plenty of seats available to see another classic pitching encounter involving Tom Seaver and the Houston hard-throwing right-hander J.R. Richard. We'll be on the air with the pregame shows tomorrow night on most of these same stations beginning at 7:35 Cincinnati time. The copyrighted broadcast is authorized under broadcasting rights granted by Cincinnati Reds Incorporated solely for the entertainment of our listening audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Cincinnati Reds Incorporated is prohibited. Now on most of these same stations, stay tuned for Joe Nuxall with the Star of the Game show. Once again, the final score today, the Astros 3 and the Reds 2.